Hello everyone, Rurikhan here, bringing you guys something a little bit different today. And today I was actually at a press conference with the Naughty Dog team with special thanks to Portugal Gaming. They were the ones who actually got me in. So as usual, just remember to show your appreciation for Portugal Gaming. Just youtube.com/Portugal Gaming if you happen to speak Portuguese at all, because I'm also producing content over there. Obviously that particular content is going to be in Portuguese, so but today I had access to a press conference with the Naughty Dog team. They were talking about The Last of Us, and I also got to interview the game designer, whom is Ricky Cambier. I got to do a one-on-one with him. Unfortunately, I have to apologize for that particular one-on-one because I still don't have the best equipment set up for doing these kinds of things. I really need to buy a microphone for my camera. The thing is, obviously, these videos don't necessarily pay for themselves, so the investment in gear is quite considerable, and it's something that at this point I can't really afford, but I'm definitely working on it so that hopefully the next press conference, I will hopefully have bought some new gear by then, which will allow me to get some better audio quality, because I'll be honest, the audio quality in the interview itself is really not up to my standards, so I'm just apologizing in advance for that. But anyways, in this particular video, you guys are not going to be watching the interview. What you're going to be watching is the developers of Naughty Dog. They're going to be talking a little bit, the developers of The Last of Us, they're going to be talking a little bit about the game. And after this video, I will then upload another video, which is just the one-on-one interview. So once again, just bear with me on the audio issues, because I still don't have a microphone. As you guys might imagine, getting a decent microphone is still quite an expensive piece of kit. I mean, it took me long enough to get a microphone just for my home recordings. Now I need to get one for when I go to these types of press events and whatnot, and it's just, it's just another expense that I'll have to burden. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and let me know in the comment section, do you guys enjoy these types of videos? Do you guys want me to do more? And yeah, just feedback as much as you possibly can. And as you guys might be aware, or just in case for those of you that are not aware, I will eventually, when the game actually releases, I will be making a full playthrough of The Last of Us on my channel. This was already planned long before I had access to the press conference. As you guys might remember, I've always said that I was kind of excited about The Last of Us. So yeah, just feedback. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and peace.
So talking about what the world of The Last of Us is and the setting that we've created. It's 20 years after a fungal infection has decimated society and civilization as we know it. Governments have collapsed, there's no infrastructure, electricity is gone, supplies are scarce. The infected humans have pushed the surviving humans, into quarantine zones that are run by the military. It's very oppressive there, it's kind of martial law. People have rations for food. It's not a great place to live, but it's better than taking your chances outside. There's some human survivors that have chosen to live outside of the quarantine zone, try to rebuild society, or maybe they're take no prisoners. They'll kill anybody and anything for any of their supplies. We thought this was a really interesting setup for the game, because we're trying to explore the relationships between humans when they've been pushed to the limit, when they're very desperate. So we felt, sort of in this backdrop of this great external pressure of the infected, that the surviving humans are forced to take really interesting choices. There's no longer right or wrong. It's what you're willing to do to survive. And we think this is a really great setting to try to explore the relationship between a couple central characters. Our main character is Joel. He's a hardened survivor. He knows the world before and after the infection. So he's lost everything. He's lost his friends. He's lost his family. It's forced him to take him to a really dark place. He works inside of a quarantine zone where the game starts in a city in the U.S. called Boston. He works basically the black market underground. He smuggles things, pills, guns, whatever he can to get more ration cards, whatever he can to sort of survive on his terms under the oppressive military rule inside the quarantine zone. And really, the types of jobs that he has taken The things that it's forced him to do have really sort of dehumanized him, really blurred his lines between what's right and wrong as well. And it's taking one of these jobs that introduces him to Ellie. Now, Ellie's a great contrast to Joel. Joel has, as I mentioned before, Joel has seen life before the infection. Ellie's only 14 years old. She's only seen life after the infection. She only sees the previous world, the world from before 20 years ago, through magazines, through people telling her about it. So she has a great sense of nostalgia, a great sense of wonder for it. So she's curious about what life could have been then. She doesn't have a lot of resources for it. She's curious about what life is outside the walls of the quarantine zone. She only knows what it's like in there, under a strict military rule. She's an orphan. She was raised in a military boarding school, so she's always sort of been under a strict set of rules. And this world that we've created for The Last of Us, it forced her to grow up very quickly. She may be 14, but she definitely feels older in the way that she acts, in the way that she talks, in the way that she views the world. She's definitely capable and independent beyond her years. So what happens? Joel takes this job, and the job is to smuggle Ellie outside of the walls of this quarantine zone in Boston and to deliver her to an opposition group called the Fireflies. The Fireflies don't really believe in living under the martial law of the military. They want to have society in a different way. So some of them are choosing to cooperate a little bit more. Sometimes they're going to attack the military venture outside the quarantine zone, or inside the quarantine zone as well. They're kind of a resistance movement in some respects. So Joel takes this job, and he meets Ellie, but he's not really interested in why he has to deliver her to the Fireflies. For Joel, it's just another job. He wants to deliver her, he wants to get paid, he wants to keep surviving on his own terms. And initially, because she's basically just cargo, Ellie doesn't really trust Joel. She doesn't really trust his intentions. She knows that people are willing to do anything to get a leg up, to have an advantage in this world. So what happens is Joel has to deliver Ellie outside of this quarantine zone. Various things go wrong. This is basically what starts their journey across the United States, as Joel tries to deliver Ellie to the Fireflies. They meet challenges all along their journey. And we'll see a couple parts of their journey in the demo today, and in the preview code if you've experienced it. Lincoln, Pennsylvania, and Pittsburgh as well. So those are parts of their journey heading west. And what we wanted to do with the narrative, sort of what's interesting about Joel and Ellie, is Joel and Ellie are contrasting characters. Both, Ellie sort of knowing only this world and having a sense of wonderment, maybe a sense of hope, being amazed at what nature is like, that it's really beautiful outside of the walls of the quarantine zone, which is very, it feels very much like civilization and people are living in desperate times. So with their contrast, their bond, their relationship grows and changes over the course of the game. Joel might see that there's a little bit more hope left in the world because he's seeing the world through Ellie's eyes, while Ellie starts to know what people are really like when they're forced to be desperate and to survive on their own terms. And she gets exposed to various types of people outside of the quarantine zone. So we think this is a really great sort of setup for this journey, for what it's like to live in this type of setting.
So let's talk a little bit about The Last of Us. For us, this is kind of a new genre. When we set out to make this game, we were really looking in that, in a world we thought would be interesting to expose some characters to the high pressure, and we wanted those elements of survival. We wanted to create a type of gameplay that forced you to feel like what it would take to survive in this very brutal world. And we also love the action. I mean, we want to feel like it can still explode into a heart-pounding, fast pace, where one moment you are moving through stealth, trying to quickly make a plan, and things can quickly go awry, and you need to jump out a window, run down a hallway, go behind a door, take cover, throw a distraction, make a Molotov, all these things. And then maybe you need to hide and get away, and you can take another moment to take a breath, reassess the situation, and find a new way to get past the encounter. So this is why we're calling it survival action. because we still have those high-paced moments within this survival genre. And for us, this comes a lot out of a choice to make it a highly lethal world. You've seen us talk about the idea of each bullet counts. This is important no matter which way the bullet is going. For the amount of ammo you have, you're going to be very conscious. You're going to be aware of how many shots you have in your chamber, how long it's going to take to reload, and how many enemies are in front of you. And in regards to that, you do not want to get shot. That's true in other games, and it's especially true in The Last of Us. We've moved towards a persistent health system, so you're not going to be able just to sit and hide and recover. And you're going to need to, and you're going to feel that impact, that visceral impact each time Joel is getting hit. And you're going to want to keep cover and make plans. And it's going to be unlikely that just charging directly at enemies is going to be a successful route. So how do you survive in this world? There's a few things you can do. Scavenging and crafting. These are going to be critical to your success in The Last of Us. We wanted to create a world where you could feel the impact of how dilapidated, how just everyone has been trying to survive, so they've searched through most things. There's not a lot left in this world. And to remind you that it's been 20 years since the outbreak has happened, and in this time, 90% of the population has died. There's just a few people left trying to get by with whatever they can. Nothing's getting manufactured. It's only what's out there in the world. So you need to look for it. You need to spend some time scavenging the world, searching the nooks and crannies, opening drawers, interacting with the world, and finding things that you can use in order to succeed. This gets into the crafting system. Those things that you find, you're going to be able to create things that you can use to succeed, both offensively and defensively. But it's not a lot, so you're not going to be able to make everything. So we've talked about the idea of finding different ingredients, finding bandages, finding alcohol. These are the things that you can use to make a med kit. So if you have had an encounter where you've taken some damage and you need to recover before the next one, you can make a med kit. But you can also use those same ingredients to make a Molotov cocktail. So maybe you want to be a little more offensive. Maybe there's a group of guys that you have found are together, and now it's going to be a really effective use of those ingredients. But like I said, you're probably not going to be able to make both all the time, and it might also be smart to not make everything in advance. One thing we're particularly proud about with our crafting system is that it's all in-game. You're not going to be able to pause the game and go into some HUD menu and start looking around and take your time to decide what you want to make during the fight. It's live. It's survival. So you might want to keep some supplies ready to handle that situation that you didn't expect. And that's often going to be brought on by some of our new AI, which I'll talk to in a second. We've talked about, so we're really excited about our new AI, and they're going to be, we spent a lot of time on this. We knew we would have these creatures, the infected, these things that come from that cordyceps fungus. When we asked ourselves, okay, if the cordyceps fungus infects insects, it grows out of their brains and into these stalks, and then it explodes to infect other insects. And each strand is unique for the insect. So if this unique strand jumps off to human beings, what does it look like? What does that do to the human body? So as we started looking at that, we started to develop these creatures that, their whole face becomes, over time as they're exposed, the whole face becomes covered in this type of fungus hardened shell. And they can't see anymore, but they use this echolocation to track you down, which means you now have these creatures that behave in this very unique way. And you're kind of going to have to discover how to get past them, learn about how they search for you, how they track you down, and also start to pay attention that we've talked about, so far we've released information about stage 1 of the infected and stage 3 of the infected. Stage 3 are the clickers, the hardened shell, the ones that use the echolocation and make that noise, that thing you're going to want to listen for when one's trying to find you. And in those moments, you're going to want to move, like take cover, move slowly, slow down, and assess the situation. And we've also talked about some stage 1 of the infected. These are the infected that are recently exposed. They're just starting to change. There's a bit of their humanity left, and you can, sometimes if you watch them before you engage them, you can see them fighting to maintain some of that. And you can feel that, you can hear in the audio like their calls for both pain and trying to hold on to a bit of their humanity. But they can see, and they're aggressive, and they're fast. But they're consumed by a bit of this rage and terror, but they're not yet fully consumed by the cordyceps fungus. So a lot to explore in the AI of just the infected. But that's also just the part of the world that's applying, like Arnie mentioned, this great pressure on the humans. And that's also a huge focus for us in this game of what is it like to face a small group of humans that are like you, trying to survive. They're trying to figure out how to get through this situation. They have limited resources. They also have high lethal. They're also aware that shots from you are very dangerous, and they're also trying to work together. You'll hear that. You'll hear that with them sometimes communicating. You know, and if two guys are talking, they're going to be canvassing an area together. And if you try to take one out, the other one might become aware of it. He's going to be like, hey, do you see anything over there? Hey. And if his friend does not respond, he might need to go and investigate. So you need to be smart about how you take on this group of other humans. We talk a little bit about a system we call the balance of power. They're kind of aware of what you have, or what they've learned what you have. If you approach them and you're unarmed, they might think you don't have a gun, and they might be a little more aggressive. Once they realize you're armed and you're capable of shooting, they're going to behave differently. They're going to be taking more cover. They're going to try and flank you. And if they can hear that you're out of ammo, if you're firing a few and click, 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 you might at that moment be careful, because one might hop up and start run at you, because he knows you need to reload. He knows you're out of ammo. These guys are smart, dangerous, and trying to survive. So be careful. But you might not be alone. And that gets to our third point, the friendly NPCs. These are the people that are with you on your journey. Specifically Ellie, and you've also met some of the other characters. We've met Tess, and we've met Bill. And yes, these are people with you that, again, back to that survival, where these are smart, decision-making allies that are here to help you get through the situation and to help themselves stay alive. So this means that you can work with them a little bit, and they're going to be making choices to help you. And you might find at times they surprise you in the way that they might suddenly throw something or attack somebody, and that's going to help get you out of a situation. But we're also interested in the relationship building, and so it means that you can't just abandon them. These are your allies, these are your friends. So at times you might need to come to their aid, just in the way that they at times are going to come to your aid. And through this, you're going to build through some relationships, and through this, you're also going to be able to overcome some obstacles that you would not be able to do otherwise do alone.